Nice bit of a bounce back for the JSE today. And of course, we did turn around yesterday to close just marginally higher. Do you think this is a relief rally, or do you think there could be more to it?
Yes, I think a lot of shorts are covering as well at the moment. So you see a lot of people that have gone short over the last few days buying back stock, and that's pushing the stocks up a little bit. As well, there is some bottom picking coming through, as we saw Anglos go down to the 320 level, and Billiton down to about 250. We saw some buying come back in. So I think people are looking for a little bit of value at these levels. But I would be cautious with all the negative data coming through of how strong this rally will be.
I mean, just looking at those Anglos and Billitons, we've got Anglo trading at 333, we've got BHP Billiton at 260 Rand. Are they presenting value in a market like this where we do have this sort of volatility and this sort of uncertainty?
I think about 5 Rand below on both of those, like 325 and about 555. The PEs are looking really good on both of those stocks, and long term it really is a good trade to have in your portfolio. You have to take a look at where world markets are going and how much growth you expect. There is recovery around the world in all the markets, even though it is slower than expected. And if you're taking a longer term view, I think there is definitely value on those stocks.
Of course, the weaker dollar helping some of those commodity prices at this stage. If we see that dollar starting to recover against the euro, we could see those commodity prices coming under fresh pressure, and that wouldn't be good for any of the miners on the JSE, would it?
Not at all, but I think if you take a look at expectations of interest rates, it looked like the ECB will be the first to raise before maybe in July. Even in the States are looking with their weak data not to raise at least this year. So I think that a real big bounce back in the dollar will be won't be forthcoming very soon. So I think that dollar is going to remain weak for the year until they start putting up their interest rates.
Of course, we could get some decent indication this week in both the direction of interest rates in the Eurozone as well as in the United States. So we've got Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke speaking tonight, and the market watching him closely. Do you think he's going to be talking about quantitative easing? Do you think that's what the market wants to hear? What's going to happen with QE2? Is there going to be fresh stimulus coming to the market?
Well, there's definitely noise about a QE3. But I think he'll probably try to stay clear of that. Maybe he'll just mention where growth's coming from and interest rates, where they're going to be going as well. I don't think he'll mention QE3 as such, but maybe he'll give us some indication of whether they'll have to keep the quantitative easing as weak as it has been, interest rates at these really low rates. And maybe he says into next year, mid-year, next year we only see interest rates increase, and that'll get a bit of strength back into the equity markets.
Of course, we've already seen interest rates increasing in the Eurozone. ECB winding up a meeting on Thursday afternoon. What's the market looking for there? What would you expect? I mean, could we see another rate rise now? Do you think they'll give an indication perhaps of a rate increase next month? And what will the impact of that be?
Market expectations and Reuters expect no rate increase tomorrow, but they are expecting 25 basis points in July. I think it will indicate how much it's going to be in July. But interest rates inflation in the EU is moving beyond that 2% barrier, and at some point they will have to increase these interest rates to keep that inflation target in check.
Just taking a closer look at our markets, surprisingly gold shares coming down a bit now. We've got that gold price holding firm just below $1,550 an ounce, only $25 away from the all-time high hit back in early May. We've also had the rand weakening a little bit since yesterday afternoon, yet our gold shares weaker. Why is that, Rob?
It's a difficult one. We do have the production of gold coming out for the whole quarter on Thursday, so maybe there's something in those numbers that are going to be coming through which are going to be relatively negative, so we'll have to take a look at those gold production numbers coming through on Thursday. Secondly, they've had a really good run, the gold shares. Anglo Gold getting up to 330 Rand, but now coming back all the way to 10%. So I think maybe it's got something to do with production numbers. If those productions come out relatively firm and solid on Thursday, I'll be a buyer of the gold shares again.
At current levels, so Anglo Gold just above 300 Rand. Would you be buying at that level? Would you wait for it to go down a little bit further?
I think I can get down to about 290 Rand, and if the production numbers are really good for gold going forward, back all the way up to 320 Rand.
And just looking at some of the economic data locally, today we had foreign exchange reserves down a bit, so it looks like the SARB hasn't been that active in the market. Your view on those figures?
Well, I think that they have bought about 54 billion rands worth of foreign currency over the last few months. I think the average for last year was about 712 Rand dollar rate. I think they will continue buying at the lower levels when they can, and I think that continually that'll just help us with inflation on the oil side. They're not overly aggressive and they can't impact the market too much, but I think generally they will be buyers when they can be.
Just looking at the global growth picture, of course, we've had Saudi Arabia saying that once oil below $100 a barrel, so we could see an increase in production when OPEC ministers next meet. And they're really trying to boost global growth at this stage. I mean, how are you seeing the global growth picture? Because we've had our finance minister saying we need 7% growth to try and bring unemployment down. Of course, unemployment sitting here at 25%, but growth globally not really up to the numbers we saw last year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the prices of oil are starting to impact growth around the world. We saw the poor negative numbers coming from the US last week, and I think they realize that they have to have a really strong economic Western economies, and lower oil price will benefit the whole world. So I think Saudi Arabia is really pushing for that increase. Whether the other OPEC nations are as willing, we'll have to wait and see. But it looks like they'll increase slightly, and they'll try probably. Saudi Arabia wants a $100 oil price. I don't think they'll get it from the rest of the OPEC nations.
Yeah. Just taking a look at equity markets, so we've seen a bit of a rally today. Could see another pullback tomorrow. Do you think we're going to continue to see these markets moving sideways as they have done actually since the end of last year? What do you think we need to give some more impetus to this market to drive prices higher?
Well, I think quantitative easing, the QE2 is coming to an end at the end of June. And I think what they do after that is really going to push the market. So if they come in with a QE3, I think that we'll break up and hit new highs. If they're determined not to put any more quantitative easing in on that United States, I think we'll start to have a pullback as growth tightens, and unemployment is a problem in the States. So I think really we'll have to try to see what Ben Bernanke is saying tonight and whether there will be some indication of QE3, and I think that's really what the market's waiting for. Without QE3, it looks like the world economies are slowing.